All right. Good morning, everybody. Where we at? Turn that background. Let's leave that background on. I'm gonna leave it. If that background's too much, let me know. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing today? Well, it's been a little while. I had a project I was on. Man, it had early starts and long days and a lot of responsibility. And sometimes doing the right thing meant putting your boots on the ground instead of being at the microphone. And that's the way it's been for me for the past, I believe it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I've been on here in the morning, Monday mornings. And I have really missed being with you guys, and I'm glad to be back with it. Uh, Let me know how everything's looking. Let me know how the sound's coming through. Uh, anyway, here we are. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're going, where you're coming from, and what's happening in your world. This is New Year's week. May not be a lot of people out there working, but I missed it so much. I wanted to get warmed up and get it going again. And back in the home studio, if I had enough subscribe, I'm zipping up a little bag here. If I'd had enough subscribers, I could have went live on the phone and could have done a little something. But this is a new channel. I've been working on it. So if you scroll by, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and that way, if you subscribe to the channel and I get 50 subscribers, I can live stream from some interesting places. I mean, I could do a short. That's pretty cool. I'll start doing some of that when I'm on projects that are relatively interesting, and owner or management team wouldn't have a problem with me, doing that kind of thing. But anyway, I'd like to get the subscriber base up and see more people in the mornings. I'm still fiddling around here, and you'll see me do that every now and then. I'm a one-man show. I don't have any production team. I write my own scripts. I do my own artwork, do my own camera work, do my own sound design. I'm just a bubba out here trying to make it happen. But anywho, glad to see you this morning. And before we really get to talking work, safety, and productivity, let's talk about the new year, and let's talk gratitude. We have made it through another year. Another year of early mornings, hard work, lessons learned, and blessings we didn't always notice at the time. So let's take a few minutes every day here between now and the New Year's, and think about the things that have happened to us throughout the past year, and look for the blessings that weren't there at first. The struggles, they end up being blessings. So don't discount the struggles. You learn a lot in a struggle. Somebody once told me it ain't supposed to be easy, Scott. Success and all that stuff comes with hard work and conscientious effort. Well, here's one thing I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for health. I'm grateful for opportunity and for people I get to work beside, and for the chance to start again tomorrow with a clean slate. Or Friday with me. I'm starting with a clean slate every day, boys and girls. But think about your new year and what you're going to do to be different. And then, unlike a lot of people, carry through with it. Make a conscious decision to change something in your life, whether it's me, like every year, the diet, more exercise. Matter of fact, when I get off of here today, I'm going to get back into my exercise routine, it took a real beating in the past month. I was active, but it wasn't consistent and always like I do when I'm here at the house. But anyway, I am really looking forward to getting back into the groove. I'm still making some adjustments, y'all. Give me just a minute. Yeah, I'm working on another camera angle. But anyway, let's do the roll call. Tell me where you're tuning in from and what trade you're representing as we close out this year together. Remember, gratitude isn't looking backward. It's fueling the confidence to move forward. So let's get after it and move forward. Phrase of the week is something that I use, and it's a phrase I use all the time. This week's phrase isn't new, but it is who we are. Safe, timely, and efficient. Safe means you go home in the same condition you showed up. Timely means you respect the schedule, the crew, and the client. I just came from a job, and boy, it was weird. I got there the first day, and people were showing up and just straggling in, and it was, 5. We had to start at 6, and people were straggling in, coming in, and it was 10 minutes after 6 before everybody got there, and I'm thinking there's 40 people, 45 people, and if they're making $20 or $25 an hour, hell, man, that's $800 an hour, and that 10 minutes just cost a couple $100. And I said, ho ho ho, Santa Claus and all that. And I said, 6 o'clock starting time. And the first day, I got a little pushback from the supervisors, and not really pushback. It just wasn't a sense of urgency about it. And I guess they had become a little complacent. It had become acceptable on the job site and all this. And third day, I started doing my thing at 6 o'clock. And when people hate walking in the middle of something, and by golly, after that first week, 5 days or so, everybody was on time and ready to go when I was there, and anyway, timely, respecting the schedule, the crew, the client, the owner, whoever it is. Time is a value, and your time is valuable too. So anyway, as I move around, I'm using an overhead mic this morning instead of one in my face, because maybe I thought I could move around a little bit instead of having to stay pegged to the microphone. Y'all tell me how that devil sounded. Woo! Damn. I got a little, I got up at, what time was that? About 3:45 this morning. I wanted to get down here and make sure the studio was set up after being away for a little while. But anyway, we were talking about safe, timely, and efficient. Efficient means you work smart, not rush. You're purposeful in your movements. You're not careless. When you balance all three of these, safe, timely, and efficient, you build trust. When one gets ignored, everything else starts to wobble. So let's keep those three things in mind as we go step into the new year. It isn't just a slogan. Make it a standard. Safe, timely, and efficient. Anyone can work fast, and anyone can work hard. I'm sorry, guys. Never. Here we go. I got lost in my... Anyway, safe, timely, and efficient. It isn't a slogan, it's a standard. Anyone can work fast, and anyone can work hard. But professionals like you and I, we work safe, timely, and efficient every time we put our hands to it. So let's keep that in mind as we roll into the new year. Anyway, how's everybody? Come on, check in with me. Send me what do you call these things on the YouTube? A chat. Send me a chat. Let me know where you going, what you doing, where you headed, what trades you represent. And I'll change out my dip, boys and girls. Is that background too loud? How am I coming through? I'm a little, I don't guess I'm clipping. Like I said, I'm a one-man show, baby. I got my banjo, my tambourine, and my harmonica strapped on, and I'm Mr. Bojangles. All right. So it is New Year's. What y'all gonna have? You know what I have every New Year's, and I am 60. Darn, I'm gonna be 64 this coming year, and every year, and my wife is like, meh, but I don't care. My daddy did it, and I was raised on it, and I'm going to continue to do it, and maybe one of my children will take it up, carry on the tradition of black-eyed peas and collard greens every New Year's Eve. You know, they say the old collard greens represent the folded money, and the black-eyed peas represent the pennies and the dimes of change. If you have a different New Year's tradition, I'd love to hear it. Send me a message and let me know. All right. Here we go. This past week, if you'll look down here in the bottom here, where is it? Right there. Toolbox safety topic videos. Man, I've been making them things, and there's got to be hundreds of them things on there now. And some of them I'll redo from time to time, but if you're out there in the field and you need a safety subject or something like that, flip over to that channel, and they're safety topics, and I always put the script in the description, so if you need to copy and paste and print that out for your toolbox, it's just a learning aid, so it's designed to help you guys out. Anyway, this week, the safety snapshot, and it's a video I did last week, is on vehicle and traffic awareness on the job site. And it's a constant hazard on some of the job sites I'm on. Man, there's track hose moving around, trucks coming in to pick up debris, equipment being delivered, people coming in and out. You really got to control that and limit access to some extent because traffic are vehicle hazards. They're rough. And it's normally in a, you'll have several kind of, I think the most common is backing accidents. Struck by accidents, and a lot of near misses happen fast, and they really don't leave any room for excuses. Make sure that when you're moving equipment and stuff like that, let's use a spotter. Use a spotter whenever backing is required. One set of eyes isn't enough. And I'm not talking about having 3 or 4 guys trying to wave a guy in. I've been known to stop operation. Whoa, hey guys, stop! This poor truck driver up here looking at 3 or 4 of you monkeys running around behind his truck and making different hand signals. Yeah, don't confuse the poor boy, man. He ain't ever been on this job site before. Give him a break. But use one spotter, making him a signed spotter, and have him greet the driver. And make sure they understand the hand signals. Most of the time they're the same, but then again, somebody somewhere might have a different eye about what a hand signal is. That's an opportunity when the spotter gets up on the truck, says, "Hey man, what you got? Where are we going?" And he says, "Well, I got some equipment." Okay, it needs to go back over here. And they establish clear hand signals and make sure everyone understands them. Never, never, never assume that the driver can see you. If you can't see their eyes, they don't see you. I had a sticker around here somewhere. I don't know what I'd done with it. It said just that. Matter of fact, I made a video on it. Go to other channel. Boop, 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 boop. Right here, and you'll see that old video. If they can't see if you don't see their eyes, they don't see you. All right, that's just a safety assumption. Man, slowing down in the work zone too. Boy, I've had some cats come onto my job sites. They look like they was going to a fire. Slow down, boys. We ain't in no hurry. I know you got other deliveries to make, but these people walking around this site, equipment moving, I don't want to have to deal with no paperwork, and I know you don't either. And I don't want to see anybody hurt. And I know you don't want to bear that responsibility of having hurt someone. Anyway, slow down in work zones. Equipment doesn't stop like pickup trucks. And vehicles, they don't forgive distractions. Steels don't blink, tires don't reason, and momentum doesn't care. Awareness is your first line of defense. Keep that in mind, boys and girls, when you're dealing with heavy equipment. All right. Everybody all right? Check in with me. Tell me how we're doing. Got a comment? Send me a comment. Ask me a question. Send me off on some pig path this morning. I ain't got nothing. Boy, how many of y'all rolling already this morning? Tell me how early you get up every day and get to rolling. Oh, man. I'm trying to... Got me a new coin here. I'm trying to see it. Y'all can't see it. I got this. Here, let me show you. Let's see if I can make this transition. There we go. This is the other camera I got set up. Got me a new coin there. I don't know if I can zoom in on that or not. I'm afraid if I did, it went too far. Let's play around. Y'all want to play around? Yep. Now let's see what we got. It's almost in there. Let me get you centered up. See how? Yeah. Got me a new little medallion there. See how close I can get him zoomed in. Guess that's as far as it's gonna go. Anyway, turn it back out and get myself recentered here. Looking at all the computers and everything. Anyway, glad y'all joined me this morning. Go back to the other one here. Yep. Y'all say good morning. I want to see you guys. There we go. Back with you. All right. Here we go. What do we got? Here's a job site challenge for you guys. You ready for the job site challenge? This week, because it's a holiday week, if you're out there working today, it's especially important, especially when you're thinking about how fun the Christmas was and them upcoming collard greens. I know y'all ready for them upcoming collard green black-eyed peas. Tell me what your New Year's Eve meal is. But anyway, this week's challenge is maintaining focus. And distractions are everywhere. I'm distracted sitting right here talking to you guys. But distractions are everywhere. Yeah, you're talking about phones, having a conversation with somebody on the job site, wore out from the Christmas holiday, thinking about what's next instead of what's now. Focus means one task at a time, Scott. Eyes on the path. You'll see me looking around here. I'm trying to do all this. I need to be main focus on you. And that's what I'm here to do. So keeping the eyes on the path and the mind in the moment. Maintaining focus. The best workers aren't just skilled. They're present. And I've known some pipe fitters and some expert riggers, and boy, they knew what they were doing, but they get carried away and wander off down in a path with somebody on a conversation or talking about a weekend and forget what they're doing. I didn't care, but they were working, man. I'd have to bring them back to it, and they go, "Oh, thank you." I said, "Come on, you know how tough guys are." But from time to time, being a safety guy, you got to bring people back into focus, and I do that from time to time, and they bring me back into focus. Boy, I got busted the other day. I was at the desk. I was doing a safety audit, and I said, "Man, I need to run down there and get a picture of that so I can put it in this audit." And I jumped up from the desk and started walking out yonder through a damn corridor, and a guy stopped me. He says, "Where's your hard hat at?" And I went, I said, "Man," I said, "God dang." And I turned around. He was going the same way I was going because he met me coming. And I said, "Man, I appreciate you telling me. I don't know where the hell my head was." He says, "Man, it happens to us all the time." I said, "Yeah, I know, but doggone it, man, I'm supposed to be the guy who says something to you." And I said, "Thank you." And then in the next meeting the next morning, I told everybody in the darn group, I said, "Oh, Joey over there," I call him Joey, his name ain't Joey. He said, "Man, he called me out and made me feel like a darn fool. So I just want to say in front of everybody, thank you, Joey. Thank you, man." And he grinned from ear to ear, and everybody got a good chuckle out of it. Man, talking about losing focus, too, let me tell you. I was sitting at the desk, and it was colder than hell. We are working in this building. Now, I'm an administrator. I'm not really a toil. I'm not the kind of guy that puts my back into it anymore because it's wore out. But it was cold. It was 55, 45 degrees in this building. And I'm sitting at the computer desk, and I'm doing stuff, filing documents into the job file. And I leaned back. I was all huddled up. And I closed my eyes for a minute. Next thing I know, I'm like, whoa, fell asleep at the desk. I'd lost focus. And I got tired and fell asleep. And, you know, I've made comments about guys sitting at their desk dozing off before. And, man, and I said, well, that's not the right thing to do. And then when it happened to me, I'm just like, golly, man, karma has come back and got me. But those were long days, and I would get up and I know we're talking about focus, but I would get up and show at the job site, and there'd be 3 or 4 trucks parked in the roadway out there. They were waiting on the job foreman to come and unlock the gate and let everybody in. Well, hell, everybody knew the combination to the gate. Most people did, because they had to get out and get in and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there and I go, what in the heck? And so I did that for about a week, and I said, I ain't doing this. And I got out, and I'd get there at 5:15 in the morning, and I'd open the gate and let them boys in. We'd all get parked and ready to go, and that old foreman, and then they changed the gate. Yeah, everybody knows darn gate. I said, well, I was opening the gate to get the traffic off the street, but if you don't want me to know the combination, that's cool. He started telling me, I said, no. After a couple of days, I got back into the routine. I thought it was important to get, you get in a rut, because there's no job foreman. He wouldn't show up till 5:45. And all of a sudden, you got everybody trying to get parked all in a hurry, and then get in the building and be there before 6 for the safety meeting. Everybody was in a rush and distracted. And, so I figured getting that gate open a little early, get everybody an opportunity to get in the gate and sit there and finish their coffee, or listen to their favorite podcast, which I hope some of you are out there doing this morning. But anyway, mind on the moment, and you notice I drift around here a little bit. All right, so as we close out the year, challenge yourself to finish strong, focused, intentional, and aware. All right. Why did traffic cone get promoted? Because he stayed in his lane. Why do construction workers love New Year's Eve? Because it's the only night you can drop something and call it celebrating. What's the spot? Clear for you, I love you, baby, and you're just doing this for me. And if you're listening, I appreciate some of the work you do to get some of these jokes. If you're listening, then share some of your job site comedy with you. I don't know how any of this is hitting, but what's a spotter's favorite phrase? Whoa, that's it. I was watching this truck driver backing in, man. He had a piece of equipment on it, and that thing, track hoe, it was hanging off a foot on either side, and it was a low boy, and the ground was uneven, and it was a drop deck, not just a low boy. That thing I didn't have but about that much clearance going down the highway. And he's on the job site, and he's backing in. He's worried about hanging the trailer up. And it was 3 or 4 people yelling direction of him. Old truck driver, he got frustrated, and you'd hear him set them air brakes. Sat back in that seat, adjusted the radio, and closed his eyes. And everybody wondered, stop. I didn't blame him. I knew what he was doing. I was a truck driver. First thing in one of my earliest career was in the trucking business. Yeah. And he just popped the brakes. He was getting frustrated, and he just, all them people running around yelling and jumping. I stood on the sideline, and I did like this to him. I said, I don't blame you. I gave him a minute or two, and I said, them boys upset you, didn't he? He goes, no, they didn't upset me, but everybody was getting flabbergasted, and I was getting frustrated, and I needed one spotter. Instead of jumping out of the truck and yelling at them, I figured they'd get it figured out. Somebody come talk to me, and I said, "Well, I'm the guy to talk to you." And I gathered them up and said, "Hey," I said, "one voice, one plan." And then the old boy, he backed her in there good. You know, he got out, walked around, communicated with the spotter, and they got it figured out and put her in the place where it needed to be. And here's the lesson learned: confusion is louder than danger. I want you to think about that. Confusion is louder than danger. If it's confused, you might miss the danger. But anyway, that tickled me. Y'all be careful out there. Keep everything organized. Don't, and I know what it was. Everybody was, them three old boys it was spotting. They didn't want to do what they was doing. They might have been on cleanup or something. But anyway, here's a side note. You know, since I've been doing these morning live streams over the past year, I want to reach out and say thank you, Elon Musk. You know, I'm way out here in the mountains, and there's this old company used to be called Windstream, and then they were called Kinetic. Boy, you just couldn't do nothing with them guys. I would do speed tests regularly, be 3 megabits download. You could barely watch a video, and if more than one of you is on there, you're really struggling for a piece of that bandwidth to watch a video. And I noticed Starlink. Hell, it's been 4 or 5 years ago now. Boy, I got my name on that waiting list so fast. I understood how that thing was going to work, and boy, the day I got that satellite dish, I was like a kid on Christmas morning. I got that thing out there in the yard and set it up. And back then, he didn't have many satellites, and the trees would cause a little interference, but still, I was getting 100 down and 18 or 19 up, and I was tickled pink, and I started doing these live streams, and I'd see every now and then the satellite would waggle out on me, and every now and again it'll do it again. But over the past 3 or 4 years, he's really put the gear up there in orbit, and I watched the stream health, and Elon, you done a bang-up job, man. I appreciate it. And if you ever need me to promote your satellite business, boy, I'm the man, because I'm talk highly of it. You know, most of these people get on there and they got plenty of things to say about Elon, but I don't care what he does, man. He put these satellites up there and gave us space internet. And you got to think about that, man. You know, when I was a kid, we had 3 channels on the darn TV, and I think 1 VHF. Well, here in the South, it was Turner Broadcasting, TBS. We had some wrestling on there, but man, what a leap in technology over my lifetime. No telling what it's going to be like in my children's and grandchildren's lifetime. Anyway, thank you, Elon. Well, let's keep moving along. Had a question. A question came in asking how to improve traffic control on smaller sites. Here's the answer. Define your traffic controls early in the process. Know which way people can come in and people can go out. You know, this holds true on the bigger sites too. You know, this job I was on is in heart of the beast, I call it, downtown Atlanta. And buddy, if you didn't know which way you was coming in, you'd have to circle the block, and you just can't circle the block because of all the one-way streets. You might have to go down 2 blocks and come back through. And with all that traffic, them people crowding in down there, it was a nightmare. So the simple answer is to find your traffic early. And when your vendors call and say, where you located, and you tell them to say, come in from this street, and give them the heads up. And then once they get in the job site, oh, crazy superintendent. Everybody been coming in the same way. And I had a truck come in the top gate, and there'd been several trucks in there, and he says, this is one way. I said, where is that defined at? He said, well, I just told you. I said, yeah, but this is the third or fourth truck I brought in this way, man. You got to let people know. He said, well, I just told you. I said, okay, you told me, but there's 40 people on this job. Does every foreman and every superintendent on this job know this is a one-way street? He goes, well, I've been telling them. I said, well, it ain't defined. And if I get a truck come in and they're sitting in traffic out there blocking stuff, I want to get them in here and get them out. But we had a little discussion about that. So he was right and I was right, and we just had to come to a standard that everybody could understand. And I don't have a problem whether you want to be one way. That is no problem. I agreed with it. It needs to be one way. But I had no awareness of it, and we straightened that out. So make sure you lay out the routes and set cones and designate spotters and talk it through on the PTP. You know, if that's that was an individual thing. And these guys did real good on this job. My job on this was safety responsibility, and I didn't want to get into operations, so my thing was I would get in there every morning and have a safety meeting like I do on the channel there. I just have a little safety meeting, talk about a particular subject that was applicable to the job. It could be anything from working around scaffolding to take care of your temporary lighting, housekeeping on the job site, the tool organization, and slip, trip, and fall hazards, cold weather hazards, and all that. And then we do some stretch and flex. And then each contractor, there was two the company that contracted me, and they had a sub. And after I did my little thing, stretch and flex. Well, we had the safety meeting, talked about the safety topic, and then I got a message. And then then the GC, he would have something that he wanted to talk about, and that's where he could have talked about that one-way situation. And then each contractor would talk about the areas they would be working in, what their hazards were in that, what tasks they were doing in that area, what the hazards were associated with that task, and how to mitigate those hazards. And each one would do it. And then after that, we'd do a little stretch and flex, and we'd break out. And then they had their individual PTP meetings based on what they were doing for the day. And I think that works real well. Everybody's communicating, and it probably takes about 20, 25 minutes to get all that done. But at the end of the day, everybody walked around saying, man, I walked in the door, and they had daggum cuts. Somebody got something in their eye. First day on the job site, I'm doing incident reports. The stuff that happened before I got there. And then after that, there were no incidents, so the project went smoothly. I imagine they're back at work today. I wonder if they missed me. I might have been somebody calling me from that job site. Y'all let me check my message. It doesn't appear to be. It's just weather report. But anyway, you start the day off right, and I always make the team say good morning. I'll be talking about, are you ready? Are you ready? I'll be looking at her, are we ready? And they'd all be looking at me, and I'd get their attention, and then I'd say good morning. And I'd want them to answer loudly in unison. And a couple times I said, boy, that doesn't sound like everybody's enthusiastic for about this morning. So let's do that again. Good morning. And everybody would do that. And there was a guy who was learning English, and he says, and I would tell them, I said, once we do that, we're breathing together. We have become a team when we say good morning in unison and we do the stretch and flex. That brings us all together. That's called a conspiracy. And I know that a conspiracy has a lot of negative connotations in it, but it's actually from the Greek word, which means to breathe together. And that guy came up to me. He said, I learned a new word today. And I said, good. What word is it? He said, conspiracy. I said, good. So it was all good stuff, and it all built the team. So I was on the job site, for a solid month, and no incidents, everything went smooth there. And everybody said, man, thanks for getting here. You're doing a good job. I said, no, man, you're doing a good job. It's all about the leadership. It's all about, just people need direction, and they'll come together, believe me. So, back to the question, define it early. We're talking about traffic, but it means this other stuff too, leadership. Lay out the routes, set the cones, set the traffic barriers, designate spotters, and talk it through in the PTP. Another comment said the safest sites are the quiet ones. That's focus and action. And that's right. I had a subcontractor, and the radio chatter was unbelievable. Man, they were blah, blah, blah all the time. And I said to another guy, I said, you recognized the chaos in that? And I said, they're constantly fighting a battle because probably the leadership is micromanaging everything instead of everybody understanding their task. They had their PTP meeting every morning, but they didn't break it out into subgroups. And so it was... and everybody communicated through radio because they're working in containment, and that's one of the best effective ways of communicating in that situation. And the radio was going all the time, and that did make me think about that they were not necessarily a bad outfit. They just could have used a little bit more organization. But anyway, they came through with flying colors and did the right thing. We had 1 week we did a series on housekeeping, all kinds of housekeeping things. And one of those, one day was slip, trips, and falls. Another day was keeping housekeeping up in containment and outside of containment. And then one day we talked about tools. So I'd like to share a New Year's Eve, New Year's tool trick. Organization saves time, and prevents injuries. When you got your tools now, can't always have a shadow board, but those are good. If you're organized, you got a tool room, and these jobs don't normally last that long. But tool bags with dedicated pockets, dedicated tools for, you got one bag that's got your sawzalls in it. You got another bag that's got your drills in it. And they got all their associated things like blades and bits, all of them associated with that tool. And then maintaining a daily cleanup routine, like rolling up the cords if you can. If they're, if it's permanent lighting, I'm not suggesting you roll up your permanent lighting every day, but and you have very few, I've noticed this, very few corded tools on a job site anymore. I think it's good, battery technology, but anyway, keep them picked up, keep them organized, and keep them where they belong. Uh, People have a habit of just laying down a tool, walk by a first aid station in a containment that was coming down, and these guys did a good job. They had a room where they had supplies, even in the containment. They had a separate room where they kept supplies that they needed: first aid eye wash station, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, so on and so forth. And when they were toward the end, I walked in, man, everybody would just walk in the door and start dropping stuff right there in front of that stuff. And I was like, hey, let's not be in such a big rush. And they had a lady that kept up with it. I said, you are wearing this young woman out by not doing your job. You just coming in, and it's like the exercise machine you got in your house, right? It's a clothes hanger after a while. But anyway, put tools where they belong, and people stop rushing, tripping, and improvising. If you've got your tools that always go in this place, when they need a tool, they know where to find it. They're not improvising using a wrench as a hammer or a hammer as a wrench. They know where they can find the tools. And if they're doing it because they're lazy, that's a whole nother story. Get to a butt about that. But anyway, keep your tools in an organized fashion. All right. You know, when we do things like that, we keep our tools organized. It means we're taking pride in our work, and is when I've bought houses in the past, and the house I live in now, in the studio here, you recognize when the craftsman, the guy that built this house, lived in it. He was the owner. He built it, and he wanted to build it right, and so he did. And his house, in my opinion, is fairly well put together. And when you walk into some of the older buildings, whether they're concrete construction, steel construction, or wood frame, timber frame, you can recognize true craftsmanship. Things like stairwells. Have you ever been in the houses that had stairwells that were put together by hand, and artisans actually spent the time to put them together well and make them look good and feel good. Some of the old timber framing, with pegged together without nails, man, you're looking at that stuff. Oh, wow, these guys. So take pride in your work. Your name's on it long after you leave the job. Take pride in what you do. Old timers knew this quality as quiet, but it speaks for itself. And you know what I'm talking about. You've been in those places where the craftsmanship was superior. Take that kind of pride in the work you do. I know, hurry up, we got to get this done. I understand all that. But by putting your tools away, taking care of your tools, producing quality work, your name will be on it long after, and you'll be recognized for it as you move through your work career. So, just a word of encouragement on quality. Excuse me. It's early in the morning. My sinuses always bother me. All right. Let's move on to what's going on this week on the MCB channel, Middleclassbubba, which is there. All right. We're covering taglines and common sense. Simple phrases, hard-earned lessons, and reminders that safety doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be practiced. I've done a lot of rigging. I've done a lot of that stuff, and man, it's moving slow. You don't realize. A lot of times it's not moving slow, it's moving fast. It's just like it's moving slow because it's so damn big. Think about, you ever been by the airport and you see them big old jets take off and it don't look like they're moving that fast? They moving fast. Yeah. And so is that steel that's swinging, or that truck that's coming your way, or that track hoe that's swinging. But taglines is a way to control a load without putting your body in the way. So make sure that if you're watch the video, but make sure that you train your people on the importance of using a tagline, because you can control a load. Sometimes you have to have two taglines if you're flying in a heavy piece of steel and you got one guy on one tagline, one guy on another tagline, and you can guide that stuff in and bring it in real slow and control the load and not be under it. So that's pretty important that we use those taglines when we're setting things into place. And that could be suspended concrete buckets, that could be steel, that could be working around heavy equipment. Make sure you're making eye contact. But taglines, always use a tagline. Whenever you need to, you don't want to put your hand on a load. You don't ever want to put your hand on a suspended load, particularly if it has motion involved. I've seen a lot of close calls. I saw a guy one time got his glove pinched, and I thought he got his finger mashed off, and he's doing this, and he was looking. He thought he got his finger mashed off, but it had grabbed the tip of his glove, and he went to pull out, and he thought he had mashed his finger. He thought that thing had eat his finger off. And he pulled out, and he was shaking it like he knew it was going to hurt and didn't want to look at it. And I walked up to him, and I said, "What happened, man? I saw that thing get you." And I'm looking at him, and he had a look on his face like, and I said, "Come on, let's look at it." And he pulled it out, and he goes, "Man, I thought that thing took my finger off." I said, "It almost did." I said, "We learned anything from that after we got through?" And of course, that was in the safety meeting the next day. And hey, man, tell them what happened yesterday. He said, "Man, you got to be careful out there." I said, "Yes, you do." But it all came out all right. So use those taglines. Go check out that video. I think I got more than one on that anyway. But y'all go check it out. Man, I forget. I think I got 400 or 500 or 600 videos on that other channel. Anyway, that was on last week's or this week? No, taglines is coming up this week. Last week we talked about vehicles. Well, I can show y'all. Here's I've been doing a series on the Focus 4, and I did 4 videos on falls, 4 videos on struck by. And I just finished up the 4th video on struck by, and I'll do a summation. One of these days I might put together a little OSHA thing, but right now I just want to get the training information out there, so y'all check it out. Anyway, look at this, man. It is 5:54 in the morning. We have been dealing with each other right at an hour, and I've had so much fun here. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing closed out. You know, as this year closes, I'm grateful for every one of you who shows up, gives effort, and looks out for the people around you. Let's step into the new year focused, grounded, and committed to doing things right. That's the most important thing that we can do. All right, we talked about being safe, timely, and efficient, and it's more than a slogan, it's a lifestyle. I'm going to get up from here in a few minutes and I'm going to go put my boot. Well, I'm going to go upstairs and get the trash. Wife likes me to take the trash off and go for a walk. And know what else? I'm going to go shop. I got some collard greens out here in the yard. They's on trees now. They look like palm trees out there. Collard greens is funny. And I got new ones coming up under the porch too, where I put them seeds in. So, collard greens already coming up for the new year. I got them things all in the grass. I keep them cut just like they's grass. And if times got real tough, I'd quit cutting the grass and weed out around them collard greens. And I'd have go call the place Collard Green Hill up here in the mountains. Mix that in with a little squirrel meat and some fresh scallions. And man, you can have a meal that will carry you over to the next time you can get something good to eat. Anyway, we've got this new year. I want you to think about all the blessings you've had this past year. And I want you to think about everything you're going to do this year that will improve your life. But remember, it all starts right here. The mindset is the most important tool that you can have. When it comes to safety, when it comes to success in your family life, when it comes to anything, the mindset. You got to know what your mindset is. And it has a lot to do with your health, too, believe it or not. Your mindset. Now, boys, girls, I tell you, when I get out and walk every day, there's some pain involved at being a hefty boy at almost 64 years old. There's some pain involved. And that pain is real pronounced when you get started, but when you get done, it is rewarding to know that you have done it. And that's the same approach, whether you're exercising your body, whether you're watching your diet, whether you're at work, helping the kids with soccer. It all feels better when you've done it. Hard to get going sometimes, but it all feels good when you're done. Anyway, stay safe, timely, and efficient, and I'll see you in the new year. The most important thing, as always, is have a grateful day, and we'll see you next time. Blessings to you.